Hello, and welcome to Ideas with Diana on this June 27th, 2022. Since the last podcast, many things have happened, especially worldwide in the United States. Well, one thing in the United States which occurred during the triple witching hour, which was mentioned in the last show, was the overturning of the Roe versus Wade abortion rule from 1973. Well, this Sunday I had a chance with a friend when we went out to Barnes and Noble for a Sunday latte and had a chance to talk with a few people about that. I'll keep the names confidential, but however, many people were distressed, especially those who are in college now. And what both my friend and I said is that we don't support the decision made by the Supreme Court. And namely is that reason why we don't support it is for many reasons. First thing is medical. I shudder to think what's going to happen with those who can't make it to states that allow for an abortion and have to go through various methods to get it. And even those who are being denied basically contraceptions or Plan B pills, as some states are planning to deny even delivery of medical drugs via mail. Um, the second point is I don't quite understand the decision of the court when they say that abortion is not constitutionally protected. Um, Before I comment more, I like to read more of the decision as to understand the reasoning, but at this level right now, I don't understand the reasoning, so that's the reason why I don't accept it. The second thing is this war in Europe and the Ukraine has gone on for 5 months with many sanctions on both sides. For example, in the European world, they're telling people, well, you can take instead of 10-minute cold showers, 5-minute cold showers. Well, for friends of mine that I know that served in the Navy during the Vietnam era, Navy shower normally is meant that is a 2-minute warm shower. And when I was raised, we ended up actually taking Navy showers, 2 minutes warm shower, or just basically a short warm bath. And also, even though my ancestry is basically Polish, Prussian, Danish, Scottish, and Irish, as well as French. We still kept our homes basically following the Scandinavian way, basically 62 degrees. So basically, we learned to live basically with basically a colder temperature during the winter, putting on a sweater or putting on heavier clothes. During the summer, we adopted the Mexican way, which I can't turn my camera, but what happens is when you have your blinds, some people have the blinds like facing like this way, fully open. But what happens if you face it up so your blinds point upward towards the ceiling on a hot day, you let the cold air go up to your ceiling, let the cold air stay down here. The third point is that basically we also learned to adopt to how people live in the Southwestern United States is that basically when we did use air conditioners, we kept them at 78 degrees Fahrenheit, which if I'm using the approximation right, so about 19 degrees Celsius, while the EU currently is asking people to keep it 25 degrees Celsius. That will still keep you from getting heat stroke because actually if you set your air conditioner too low, you can get heat stroke when you set outside. So I'm going to use the American temperature definitions as I'm more familiar with them, but at least 78 degrees Fahrenheit or higher if you or up to about 82 if you can if you can bear it like that. So you're not gonna get heat, you're not gonna sweat to death, you're not gonna melt away, but it's just basically it will be better because you won't have heat stroke and also you will be helping with energy. Um, the thing is though, when this war started, because basically, well, no, I'm not sure what the real reason why this thing started in the first place. I mean, just because someone speaks a different language than basically the country they're in. Well, if we did that in the United States, we would have a whole lot of problems because when we have people when we have our friends visit from Canada. Canada has a dual language system of English and French. So does that mean if someone speaks French in the United States, we should cancel the culture, or cancel them, or someone speaks um, um, Hispanic Spanish from Mexico, should we banish their culture too? United States, there are many cases where people speak multiple languages, and even when my grandparents are alive, both grandparents, we actually spoke mostly French and German in the home. My parents didn't want to teach me Polish because they thought my dad remembers how confusing it was for him when he first went to public school, having to adjust to learn to speak English because there's certain consonants and words that sometimes take a while to translate out of Polish. So I've learned Polish sort of on the side. I can still say Dziękuję and Jovanich and still understand what some people say and what some people like, but not formally taught Polish. However, though, even in the neighborhood I lived in Kenosha, there was a church, St. Casimir's Church, and and basically on the church, what happened was it was as a church next to Big Star, which is a famous driver in Kenosha. Everyone goes to in a bike racing oval. But on the school though, when you saw they had two signs. One said St. Casimir School, and the other one says St. Casimir Skoya. So what happened? So just because the school sign is written in Polish, should that be canceled too or banned? No, in the United States, in our neighbor, no one banned it. Or even with the Russian Orthodox Church. Again, it was an English and Russian. No one banned that, but many people who I knew, friends that went to they remember the repercussions they faced during the Cold War about how some people were angry about what was going on, but rather than really thinking about, it, they blamed someone that was close by because it's the same thing as people who basically blamed Trump's son one time when he went out to a dinner in the west side of Chicago, and someone didn't like his father's policies and so tried to take it out on him. Fortunately, Trump's son was well mannered and basically felt handled it properly. But the doxing and other thing canceling culture, no, we gotta get rid of it. That's one bad thing of openness I don't accept is the cancel of culture or the canceling of thought in free speech. I believe free speech, no matter how objectionable, should be said or written, as well as basically um, sort of basically attaching to individuals something that a government does. An individual is not the government. An individual does not have any control as to a government policy unless they're an elected official. If they're not an elected official, no, then like politics and sports should not be mixed together. And that's another thing I don't believe in. When we come to these sanctions now, sometimes it begs the question, did this whole thing regarding the war in Ukraine start because basically when we had this last Green conference that everyone signed a green countries signed a green contract that was too stringent and that basically they realized they couldn't live with because this week when I listened to the foreign news, I noticed that Germany and other countries in Europe are restarting the coal fire plants and the nuclear plants and I'm sure many of the citizens are happy about that and hope that this will work for them by the time Octoberfest comes. And the reason why the title for the show is what type of Oktoberfest 2022 is because really, what type of Oktoberfest will still exist if this war in Ukraine still goes on and we still have these sanctions and we still have these we revert backward bouncing sanctions that are hurting the European people and other people worldwide more than what they're intended to, as well as also hurting everyone else. The thing is, what happens though is, well, regarding green technology, it's like the Europeans are finding out, and other people are finding out. Okay, green technology is maybe good for cars and something else, but as far as manufacturing, making things, it's not ready, not ready, not ready. But when countries sign a contract saying, "Oh, we're going to go green, we're going to shut down all nuclear, we're going to shut down all coal right away," way before basically it is field tested, and there's a transition time to let it come in to make sure that we don't have the winter shocks that people in Europe have and may have this next coming winter. Because a few months ago I mentioned that the EU government mentioned that they're hoping in July and August to fill their natural gas tanks and heating tanks for the winter season. And from again what I've heard on on foreign news and national news, seems that there's a difficulty. At the time this announcement was made in March, I said I hope they do for at least the people, so that people don't have to go through another hard winter like they did before. But I'm beginning to have my doubts whether they're going to be able to do it, even though they started up the they're going to start the coal fire plants and the nuclear power plants. One commentator mentioned that for them to get back to an even keel on coal and natural coal and nuclear power, it's going to take 1.5 to 2 years to get the supply line going, so that basically everything works on a clock. Basically as the clock, as supplies are running down, new supplies come in. As supplies running on, new supplies come in. No, so it's going to take that. I hope, but it may take 1.5 years. I hope during this interim, I hope someone is planning ahead so that people don't have a harsh winter and a harsher food crisis. Because even when I went to the store today, um, I went to buy groceries, and I thought I'd just pick up a few items, and I bought my shopping bag that I got from Woman Within years ago, and I used in the Kingdom of Evanston to shop. And so put items in my shopping bag. Well, you can see how big it is. Let's see if I can do this a little bit more. No, so it's no stand. Well, now guess how much all that the groceries I put in this bag cost. Guess how much it cost? Not excluding the 2 gallons of milk that I bought and orange juice. Try $89. $89 just to put that amount in that bag. And what happened was, when I bought the 2 gallons of milk, um, even though it's generic, whole milk, 4.63 a gallon in Wisconsin, which is supposed to be a dairy state. 4.63 a gallon. Orange juice, try basically a small standard. Well, let me get the orange juice. Let me just show you. Let me go get a pop here. 1.6 quart of Tropicana orange juice, $6. Um, Generic cottage cheese, $2.80. Decaffeinated coffee, about $6.50. Um, Luckily, I budgeted enough that I can afford that. But I know at times, many times in life, I couldn't, and I had to go to a church to get food, and I was very grateful for the food they gave. But the other thing I was grateful about is that some churches actually realize the importance of giving milk, because it's not just a matter of vegetables or meats. Or so you also have to have milk. Even as an adult, you have to have milk. It's not this where people say, well, milk is only for kids. No, milk is for everybody. Everyone needs some type of milk, because you need it for your body and your bones, so that basically when you get older, your bones don't crack, your body doesn't bend over, and stuff like that. So it's both for adults and children, which is why I'm glad some churches do. However, in the foreign news, I haven't heard anything about Europeans going to churches or food banks, well, mostly churches for food banks, but I have heard about Europeans going more for food banks, and food banks running low just like they are in the United States because of these sanctions. And even today, I saw where Russia tried to make two payments on the debt, and two of them were rejected. So basically, normally, if you miss three payments, you own a home or you own a car, especially if you own a car, you miss three payments. At 5 in the morning, you hear this beep, 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 and then see a tow truck pull up, and And there's your car being towed, and you try to go up to the guy, so well, here's the money, I got the money, here's the money. Sorry, day late, dollar short, your car's gone. And it's also at people's apartments and homes. But the thing is, in the aftermath of World War One, with the Treaty of Versailles for the armistice, um, what the French tried to think about that making a country so poor that they wouldn't be able to go to war again, and that if they did try to go to war again, they'd foreclose on the country. Well, the problem with that philosophy is that gave rise to Nazism and to World War II, because basically when the Weimar Republic could no longer work with the heavy-handed Treaty of Versailles, and the idea of the country being foreclosed, in essence, like it was a house. A country's budget is not the same as a house budget. Because if you try to foreclose on a country, what you will cause is you will cause a war, and you'll cause a very big one. With today's technologies and toys, we'll have a war. After we did get into a big war, we'll have a big war that is more dangerous than World War II, even if nuclear devices aren't used, because we have guided missiles, we got uranium tipped bullets, we got incendiary bullets, we got accurate missiles, we got robotic drones. So we don't need to have so we don't have to have a lot of people do all this damage. I mean, just take a look at Ukraine, what's being done with conventional warfare. So what happens, if the sanctions come on, and Russia's forced to miss a third payment because basically the first two payments are accepted. What does that mean? Does that mean that NATO is going to actually take the committed step of sending troops into the Ukraine to fight the Cold War battle that many in my generation were glad when in our 20s that and late 20s were glad that wiser heads then chose not to fight on both sides, because they both took a turn to try to understand both sides and share and have empathy? Or is it going to be a lack of empathy and simply like the old World War I French Treaty of Versailles thing? You missed your payment. We're going to foreclose on your country. We're going to send NATO troops into the Ukraine to take over everything, and also take over parts of Russia like the Grand Chessboard. Um, well, who's ever having that delusion or pipe dream, I just hope basically, please just stay in your office, stay in your home, and don't talk with anyone about following through with this, because even the idea of a grand chessboard, which when I found out about a few days ago about the book written by Brzezinski about dividing Russia, even at the end of the Cold War, many of us realized the value of trying to partition Russia, like the way, again, in the aftermath of World War One, that the Treaty of Versailles tried to partition Germany and tried to, by taking away colonies and also doing other things to weaken Germany, and the hostility that it caused among the German people, and why even some intelligent people literally supported the Nazis, because they realized the Treaty of Versailles was too heavy-handed, too harsh, and also it wasn't meant to heal, it was meant to harm and have malice and vengeance. So um, no one really wants to go and have a big war again, not even a war like Desert Shield and Desert Storm, which I was part of as part of a medical researcher. I'm glad for the help that I provided for the troops and for the situation that existed there. However, but the thing is, in the Ukraine, um, are, are we really ready to take this committed step of sending NATO troops into Ukraine, and then having Russia issue a counterattack in Latvia and in Estonia, causing a 2,000-mile supply line? Even with modern military technology, that couldn't be maintained and held, because during World War One, when the Tsar had a 2,000-mile supply line, that's what did Russia in during World War One, and why Russia had to go to a negotiated peace, um, because basically they were the ones trying to hold it against a very well armed aggressor. But the thing is, what happens with us would be just the opposite. We would have a hard time holding it because of basically, even with 300,000 NATO troops, um, there has to be a better solution to this, and it has to be a long-term solution. It can't be that basically the the agreement or armistice or any other temporary solution changes at the whim of change of a political party or in Europe or change of a presidential administration in the United States. It has to be a long-term solution for it to provide world security, world food security, and world energy security. Well, let me know what you think. I prefer to receive email and Twitter at Diana1A or Ideas with Diana. And before I go, I'll just add that to the tweet list. Let's see this minute. Whoops. Type low typos. So let me know what you think. And I'm hoping to have the next show possibly in a few days or a week like that. I'll continue to monitor the international news, which includes RT 24, Deutsche Welle, BBC, and others, and to keep a neutral and objective view. Although my political belief is a Republican, I always try to provide an objective view and not to bias anything by what my political or religious beliefs are. Well, thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you soon.